Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 88. I am Brendan. This one's going to be weird and also short, hopefully. Nate's actually got a real life. I've touched on this before. Also, I'm dressed up. This is how I dress for work sometimes, whatever. Anyway, I've said this before. Nate has a real life, and he probably is focused on, I don't know, making his life better. Anyway, no, he's in school. He's got a lot of homework, a lot of, obviously testing and a lot of things that he's doing. Plus, he does have a full-time job as well. So there's a lot of things that prevent him from doing this on a regular basis like I do. And I know I said I would go over Cobra Kai Season 2. I said I was going to do it this week, and I will. So I know it's probably a little later than I wanted to, but if I end up rehashing this again over the weekend, okay, cool. If not, whatever. Anyway, all right, that's enough of me blathering on. Please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. All right, so if you haven't seen Cobra Kai Season 1 or Season 2, for the love of God, go watch that now and then come back later. If you haven't seen them, I'm going to spoil the shit out of them. Okay, especially Season 2s. That's mainly what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to probably just give a quick synopsis and then go over it. So, anyway. Okay, so Season 2 of Cobra Kai opens with Johnny Lawrence basically getting back his how do I say this? He does. I don't know. It's weird. So like I would say that he gets back his mojo, but because he won, his students won the All Valley in the final episode of the first season. But he has that conflict because the guy Miguel ended up beating his son. That's how he got it. But there was like some dirty things in there. Again, we went over that last time. So it starts out, I thought it was pretty cool. He gets a new car. Oh no, that's in the second part of this one. Okay, I forgot to mention this. I don't know how, but John Creese comes back at the end of Season 1. That's like the stinger. So he comes back. Season 2 opens up with them talking. You find out Creese is coming back, trying to help and make things right and that kind of thing. And, you figure they've done the redemption story with Johnny, and, he has the redemption arc throughout the first season because you kind of see where he came from. You see that he's trying to make things better, but he's still resorting to the old ways, with his backwards look on, not backwards, behind the times look on the sexes, the gender roles, whatever you want to call it. What's politically correct to say, those kinds of things. So you figure that's going to happen with John Creese. It comes out. He comes in. They have a fight, a really weird one. It's very awkward. It's probably one of my least favorite in the show that doesn't involve some of the lesser characters. This one for sure is like one, like, I don't know. The Amanda ones. Not the Amanda ones, sorry. The Sam ones. Amanda's his wife. The Sam fights are real bad. I've stated that before. I don't like them. But this one, I think, takes the cake. You could tell the actor who plays John Creese is obviously older. They use a stunt double, so they have to make a lot of quick cuts. And he somehow kicks Johnny into a mirror, and he breaks it. That leads him to go into the hardware store, in which Robbie and Danny LaRusso, they are fixing up the Miyagi dojo, right? Which becomes Miyagi-Do. And he opens up a rival dojo to try to combat the aggressiveness of Cobra Kai. And Sam, his daughter, and Robbie Keene become partners, training partners, really good friends. And then throughout the season, they actually get romantically involved. And there's like that love triangle thing. And I stated how much I didn't like that in the first season. This season's a little bit better because it has impact on the story itself, especially for how this season ends. But overall, I still don't like the love triangle thing. I think Robbie is very little redeeming qualities. I understand he had a messed up past, but the way he's portrayed in the second season especially, he's given everything, and they take it away from him. It's really weird because he makes one mistake when they go to a party, and Sam ends up drinking a lot, and she says she doesn't want to go home, so Robbie ends up taking Sam to Johnny's apartment and letting her sober up there. But then Danny ends up like, this is the last episode, and it leads to like one of the best fights. So, there's this whole arc between Sam, Miguel, because you remember in the first season, Sam ends up breaking up with Miguel right before the end of the season because at the party he was acting jealous and he punched her by accident because he was trying to punch Robbie. It's just, again, like I said, the setup for it was really forced. It felt silly. And then in this season, it's better, but it's not perfect. It's more natural in this season because they are working together. They're training together. You can see that they're growing closer. And yeah, it's a little bit crammed down your throat, and they force it from very early on in the season, but it's running in the background to some other stories that are playing out through the season, which I really did enjoy. Which leads me to the John Creese storyline. So it's not a story of redemption because he's a piece of shit. And this is where I'm going to dip into realism a little bit, only to just pull from real life experience for some people. So if you're a veteran, or if you know some veterans, or if you are sympathetic to the veteran cause and the way that things happen when veterans are returning, like combative veterans especially, return home, there is the smallest sliver of sympathy you can have for the John Creese character. And you can see it because he's putting on airs, and he's saying like, oh, I did all these things, and he's starting to kind of take over the dojo and undermine the teachings of Johnny and getting these students to be more like the original Cobra Kai. Miguel doesn't really agree with that, but then John tells Miguel, hey, Johnny's lost his way and we have to teach him how to do it. I was his sensei, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a fan of the character. You're not supposed to be. I think the actor does a great job portraying an asshole. I think this is a person who could exist. I don't feel like it comes out of left field, obviously, because, he's from Karate Kid. But like I said, I'm going to dip into realism a little bit. You can have a little bit of sympathy because he is a returning combat veteran. But then that quickly goes away, especially if you are one of those people I mentioned earlier, especially like actual veterans. When he starts lying about the things that he did in the military, and Miguel points it out, that's where I lost all respect for him whatsoever. So he's manipulating his story. He's manipulating everyone else around him. He's a manipulative asshole. And yeah, he's had a rough life, and he was involved in a war he shouldn't have been, and you find out more about that in the third season. I understand that this has created an unhealthy human being. That doesn't change that what he's doing is totally wrong. So the relationship between him and Johnny is torn in the beginning, and then he works into the good graces of Johnny, in which Danny sees that John Creese is back and says, how could you let him back in the dojo? I thought he was dead. And Johnny says, no, I have it under control. And then it gets to the point where John Creese has been undermining the teachings of Johnny so much that they are doing things like they busted into the Miyagi-Do dojo and stole, like, this one actually, it's actually pretty sad because, again, anything involving Pat Morita's character, Mr. Miyagi, is incredible. And when they break in and steal the Medal of Honor that Mr. Miyagi won, and they're going through the wreckage, and Danny looks and say, hey, they even took his Medal of Honor. And then he gets in the car and goes down to the dojo. Johnny knows nothing about this, right? And I don't think the Cobra Kai that Johnny was growing would have done anything like this. But John Creese has already influenced them to do things like the old Cobra Kai would have, possibly even worse. And in this case, he's done so much damage that when Johnny sees it and really sees John for who he is, especially when he finds out that he is homeless and he's living in homeless shelters, that he kicks him out of the dojo. And he has again, just like in the first season, right at the end of the season, we have this nice little reprieve of Johnny going out with Miguel's mom to the same place that Danny and Amanda go out to dinner. And it's really funny because it brings back Amanda's character, like the tying it down into like realistic. I know there's more moments in this season because Danny and Amanda have this thing where he says he can balance things, I can balance things, but then his car dealership is fallen to the side as he's trying to focus on the dojo. And then they get into more relationship stuff. I think they have a realistic interaction pretty much throughout the whole season. And then this, like I said, this moment, just it's one of the funniest moments where Miguel's mom is talking like they're sitting next to each other and they're talking back and forth. And this is one of the funniest lines in this entire show where they keep trying to say, oh, my class is bigger than this. Oh, it's not about the size of the class, blah, blah, blah. And then Amanda goes, oh, no, it's fine. Oh, no, this was before that. It's like, oh, is it going to be okay if you two sit together? Oh, yeah. My husband and this man have warring karate dojos. And then when they're talking about that stuff, and both Johnny and Danny act like they're talking to the person that they brought, but they're really not. They're just talking loud enough for the other person to hear and basically doing a dick measuring contest. It's hilarious. To which Amanda, instead of buying into it or playing along or doing anything, she goes, oh, so we're doing this, huh? It's so good. She's my favorite character by far. Doesn't change with this season, that's for sure. So all of this leads up to and culminates in the best and one of the most mediocre fight scenes in Cobra Kai. So there's a party. I even forget her name because I don't like her. There's a new character involved, so it's not a love triangle anymore. Miguel falls for Tori, this other down on her luck girl who joins Cobra Kai, who can also kickbox and fight already. So she comes in. She's a tougher chick. She doesn't get along with Sam. Obvious tension there. And then she sees Sam kiss Miguel at a party. Again, I hate all this high school drama bullshit, but it leads to a fun fight, so that's fine. The first day of school comes around, and Tori gets on the PA system and says, I'm coming for you, Sam. I'm coming for you, you bitch, is what she actually says. They meet in the hallway. They start fighting, and then Miguel and Robbie runs in to try to break them up, and Miguel comes in and sees that and then goes after him, so they start fighting. And then everybody's fighting, right? The Miyagi-Do, which had grown during the season, I didn't really mention that, but a lot of the people from Cobra Kai defect and go to Miyagi-Do because they don't like the way things have been going on, similar to how Johnny hasn't. And then it's the Miyagi-Do students and Cobra Kai students are fighting. There's a very long, drawn-out, it seems like there's a lot of one-shots or supposed one-shots throughout this the fight choreography. And like so I said, it's the best and mediocre at the same time. The best because how long the fight is. It's fantastic. It's funny. There's a moment where this guy named Stingray, it's an older fellow who ends up joining Cobra Kai because he wants to defend himself and he loves the 80s. So he starts beating up these kids in the school in a very hilarious way. There's seriousness with the Robbie Miguel thing and the Tori Sam fight. Hawk is fighting Dimitri. It's back and forth. It's really fun, and there's fighting throughout the hallways, and it culminates. Like, oh yeah, there's teachers who come out and they're like, I don't get paid enough to, and they just walk away. It's fantastic. I think there's lots, like I said, lots of funny moments. The choreography is okay. This is where it drags it down, is because there's so much fighting. You watch it and you can see, oh, man, this moment's a little clunky. They had to do a cutaway here because this probably didn't look so good. This was overacted. I didn't like this part. Then it leads to Tori putting fighting dirty. They're in a karate fight in the frickin' school. They're fighting dirty by putting these spiky knuckle things over her wristband over her knuckles, and goes after Sam while Miguel and Robbie are still fighting further up the stairs. And that leads, Sam ends up winning her fight and kicks Tori down the stairs. Yay, cool. The big moment is at the end of the fight. Miguel and Robbie have virtually tied again, but Miguel wins. Right? Miguel actually wins this fight. They're both healthy. Unlike at the end of the first season where Miguel did a dirty shot. Right? He went after they went after each other. They're virtually tied, but Miguel comes out on top and has him pinned down on the ground. And then it cuts back to when Johnny was, a saying from Johnny saying, you want to defeat your opponent when they're at their strongest. It's okay to show, there's a difference between no mercy and honor. It's a really cool moment because you can see Miguel's growth back to where he was mid-season 1. It's really nice to see that he's still grounded in his reality, and he hasn't bought into the new Cobra Kai bullshit, so he's not a full evil bastard, which is great. He lets Robbie go. Robbie gets up, hits him, and then kicks him over the balcony, to which you see Miguel fall down, land on his back, and snap his spine, and he ends up in the hospital. Then you see an emotional moment where Johnny's there with Miguel's mother, and Miguel says, I don't want you around my son anymore. Johnny goes back to Cobra Kai after drinking and sees that John Creese is there teaching the students, Tori and Hawk and some of the other less reputable students in the back. And he finds out that John had, went behind Johnny's back and stole the place back from him, right? He's like, oh, those handshake deals, they don't hold, blah, blah, blah. So now it's my gym again. And Johnny doesn't care. He's like, I don't want it. He's basically given up, and he returns back to where he was at season 1. I would say almost worse than he started off at the beginning of season 1. As far as personal growth, he's had a ton, but where he is in life, I would say it's worse because he's had all this success as an adult now. And he was moving forward in his life, and it was all just taken away from him in the matter of a day. So, yeah, and then he drives his newly painted car out to the beach, throws his phone in the water, throws the keys in the car, and walks away. And that's how season 2 ends. So, overall, this season, I don't think it was as good as the first season. There were moments in the season that were better than the first season. The moment when they're in the cement truck, the moment when they're fighting out in the woods, I didn't even talk about that. That one's good. The end, the last fight scene, like I said, was great. I think the last episode of this season is better than the last episode of the first season. I think there was just the story with Sam and Robbie and all the moments where they're training. It really drags the story down for me. It does, and I don't know if that does for everyone else. I mean, if it doesn't for you, let me know. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why that's more important or as important as the story that's going on with Cobra Kai. I just didn't see it. They show the dual training montages with, and I don't even like that. I didn't even like the Miguel Tori training scenes. That meant nothing to me either. It just felt weird. if I had to get out of 10, I don't remember what I gave the first season, like 9.5. I probably gave this one like an 8.5. This season was much slower in the middle. Like I said, there were some baller episodes. I think this season had really good comedy in it. I think the season had decent fighting in it. And the storyline was fantastic. The main plot line was fantastic. And I also didn't talk about the fight. Danny and Johnny finally fight in the last episode. They have a physical altercation right before the first day of school. They go at it. Nobody really wins. Danny gets kicked into a TV, but he gave Johnny some of his own. So nothing really gets solved there. We don't find out, who's the better teacher, who's the better fighter, or anything like that. And like I said, like that's what I'm saying. Is like we have moments like that where the fight is so good and it's this emotional buildup and payoff, and then that's swept aside and we have to deal with Sam and Robbie and Tori and Miguel again. I understand that they're an important part of Cobra Kai, like the series itself. They just feel a lot less compelling. I don't know if it's the actors, if they're not as good. Is they're less practiced, they're younger, and I just don't buy it maybe. But there's just something, it's less compelling to me. Let me know. Okay, that's it. Like I said, 8.5 out of 10. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed watching it again. I'll watch it a third time when season 5 comes out and I run through all these again. I'll watch it again. It's not bad. This is not a bad show. There are slow moments. There are moments where you can turn away and you won't miss anything. You'll miss little bits in there, but the main story with Danny and Johnny is fantastic. It really is. And then John Creese coming in, it adds another layer into the season. I thought they did a really good job bringing him back, making him seem sympathetic in the beginning, and then finding out, he's just a snake in the grass. Get it? Cobra Kai, snake in the grass. I hate myself. Anyway, we will hopefully talk about this more this weekend and break down some of our favorite parts from the season. I just wanted to get this out there because I said I would do it. Obviously, there's UFC this weekend, and I'll talk about that one. And that's it. I really appreciate you guys. I know this was a little bit weird, and I know this one was shorter than normal. But if you could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know what you thought about the second season. Let me know what you thought about the series. And I've seen season 3, so you're more than welcome to comment about that one as well. Let me know what you thought about the first 2 seasons. Let me know what you think about the show. Are you excited for season 4? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. All right. Y'all have a great day.